Radio Cagayan Valley.
Ito ang INCRadio, DZEM 954, ang tinig ng katotohanan, himpilan ng Iglesia ni Cristo, sumasahimpapawid mula sa Quezon City.
Don't underestimate
The power of a single
conversation.
it could change your whole life.
INC Radio Chatline.
Conversations that matter.
That's it. It's over. What do you do now? What do you do, Arnie? Nate? DJ? Myself? What do you do after the relationship ends? Thoughts?
Let
You
me think about
cry?
that.
Always.
To make fun of your thumbnail earlier.
No, Tony, I'm gonna say it's like it's an adjustment, isn't it? Like, I don't when you said like, what do you do now? I don't know, because like I feel like that kind of like changes a lot of, well, not maybe not a lot, but it changes a significant kind of like part of your day-to-day routine, maybe.
What
You know,
you're
'cause
used to, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's like you kind of get stunned for like, I would say, you like from personal experience, a couple of days to maybe a couple of weeks. You just kind of like, what do we do now? right? Right, you're sort of like figuring out, like
So
the
you're thinking,
differences. Yeah,
like,
you're thinking. You're thinking, maybe you're like looking at, maybe it's the answers in the ceiling. No.
I
Sorry,
mean, you
just the
said it
last
can
time.
take like days or weeks. I feel like I've
Yeah.
known some people it takes years to
yeah.
get over
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I know like when you're younger and your mind is like not as mature enough to handle some of these kind of conversations and situations. The maturity is not there, and yeah, it can last and you carry it on in the next relationship. I've definitely seen that happen with my friends, and it can cause problems. So my
Kind of
advice
like,
is not to carry that baggage around at all. You're not obligated to.
mm,
Coming from a
I-
married perspective, do not
But
carry
how
that
do you
baggage
do
around.
that though? Sometimes I feel like people just get really consumed by it. I've seen people get really just, the emotion is just overtakes them. How do you not let that weigh down on you?
Well,
You
I
know?
would say don't try to suppress it, just let it out. Try to understand the truth, but don't be bound to it. I know it's an unfortunate situation. Sometimes it can come out of nowhere. Maybe you're not fully aware of what was going on in the relationship, or maybe the other side, or you weren't being honest. There's so many other factors, but you really have to work towards moving on, because when you go into the next relationship, it's definitely not going to be appreciated if you carry that around with you.
Actually, Nate,
True.
something that I think has, well, I wouldn't say it's like an epiphany, but like something that I reflect, because when Tony suggested this topic, I kind of started reflecting on it, and something that came to mind for me is like, when, like, let's say when a breakup happens, it's harder for the one being broken up with, because, okay, think of it this way, like, for one, like the person who is kind of like breaking up with you, it's like they've had time to think about it, to decide, and then to kind of like come to terms with it. So maybe it's a lot
Mhm.
easier for them, right? And for you, it's like like what you said, it surprises you, right? It comes out of nowhere, but it really doesn't. But it comes out of nowhere for you, because you
I
haven't had
think it
time to.
depends though. Because sometimes I've seen
Well,
different breakups. Like sometimes it could be mutual, where people just
mm,
come to a like, yeah, we recognize this isn't working out. Or maybe you could kind of sense that things were coming, even though it's not overt, you
yeah,
just sense that
yeah.
the vibe is a little off. So it might not take you
Mm,
as surprise necessarily, but I can see where that would be the most intense reaction, right? Where you are just kind of like, oh. I thought things were.
Mhm.
I thought we were. I thought we were good.
So we're
I
cool.
thought we were good.
You know, I like what Rome Gabrantina said in the chat. After breakups is the best time to work on yourself again. So yeah, you can have kind of like a
Oh, I love
reset,
that.
and it's like, okay, things didn't go so well, so let me make improvements so that, you know, the next person that comes around, you know, I'll be a better version of myself. I'll be more mature. I'll be better able to handle this next relationship coming around. But I still harp back to what I said before: don't carry the baggage.
Mm.
I agree, not with that, but with Kat on the chat, because she says when things don't work
Hey.
out, go on vacation. That is the best thing to
Ooh.
do, right?
Mhm. One that you can afford, of course. Like, don't break the bank.
I would say no. I'm laughing because that's like very on brand with Arnie. Like we know how much she loves to travel, so I'm
Yeah,
laughing
that's
because
true.
it's very on brand.
You know what I
Well,
found helps a lot though is like your closest friends, like let them know that that happened, and you'll find, especially if
oh.
you have really good friends, they'll really be supportive of you, and they'll keep an eye out on you. They'll make sure that, you know, they give you a floor to stand on again, so to speak. Because yeah, you're going to be feeling really down, but you got to remember when you're down, there's only one way to go, and that's back up. So
True.
I have a question for you, Nate, on that. Like, what if they're both your friends? Like, you're equally close to them.
Good question.
I think though with guys, there's kind of like a bro code, so you're always going to be
Mm.
closer to the bros.
Oh
Okay?
no.
That's just facts. That's just facts.
Fax
I
machine.
get that, though. I get that. I understand. I feel like I have the same reaction, where it's like it's not that I feel like I'm like more friends with. Like it's just like I feel like I understand more, kind of like the perspective, you know. So like I kind of just default to like what's easier for me to kind of like deal with.
See, and
Yeah,
Nico
like the
Pico says there in
empathy.
the chat too, 100% there's a bro code. See? It's real.
Mhm.
And also maybe just like coming from like different perspectives too. Maybe the guy just doesn't want to feel like they're trying to swoop in right now. Like they want to send the
Yeah.
wrong signals. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, like be safe, like safe zone.
Mhm. That's very spot on. You're like,
I mean,
I don't want
because the
people
reverse is
to
true
like think of it this
for
way.
me. The reverse is true for me. Like if I was like trying to comfort, I wouldn't want it to feel like I'm trying to. No, I'm not trying to make anything right now. But yeah, that's a good perspective. I didn't think about that neat in the beginning because I feel like we don't always think to tell our friends right away. We kind of just I won't speak for everybody, but sometimes we tend to sit with it and then we're like in that
Right.
pain and
Well, let
then
me
I
ask
we
you.
kind
Let
of
me
need to
ask you
work
this
through
real
it.
quick. If your friend was really feeling down, wouldn't you want to help them out in a real genuine way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
See?
course.
That's why. What you
I
expect of
know.
your
It's just
friends, you can also expect that your friends would give to you.
yeah, that's true. I always have to remind myself of that. A lot of a lot of the time.
Yeah. Not
Um,
all friends though. You got to be careful about some friends. Some friends might not be the healthiest when it comes to breakups and how to deal with them.
And I would say it's done with like good intentions, but sometimes they're kind of like, oh yeah, they were like this and like that, like they weren't the best person for you because like and that's them trying to comfort you. Like, and speaking from experience, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. Like I appreciate the effort, A for effort, but it doesn't help. Like it doesn't help
what are
when they what's that?
are you speaking to ways that how they help
Yeah,
you
like when
cope?
they're trying to comfort you and they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they're like this, they're like that. I never like and this is like a quote. It's like, oh yeah, I never liked her because like I always knew there was something wrong with
Oh
her. It's like I appreciate what you're trying to do, man, but like like it still hurts for me. Like I appreciate the effort. Like I said, A for effort, but like the good intention is there. Like that they're trying to cheer me up, but it's like
no, not the way you want
it's
them to go about it, right?
yeah, like it's not. I wouldn't even say it's not the right time. It's just I don't think there's ever like kind of like a right time to say or say
Yeah.
something like that, right?
Yeah,
You
don't
know,
trash
like
somebody.
All right.
Don't
There's
trash.
an interesting thing in the comment from my wife, Melanie. Is there an appropriate amount of
Hey!
time to pursue another relationship? Nico Pico said, for me, a year plus, to be honest. I absolutely disagree with a year plus. It
Mm-mm.
seems a little long.
kind of depends on the
Um,
person, no?
yeah, it does depend on the person, but I wouldn't wait a year plus. I
No.
wouldn't necessarily bound yourself to that hard and fast rule. I mean, all I would have to say to that though is like once it's over, like you're not bound by any kind of like polite, social contract or anything with this other person. You really aren't.
Mhm.
When you're in a committed relationship, yes, you want to make sure you keep up your commitments, but once it's decided that it's over, you don't owe that other person anything. You really don't. If they
Yeah.
don't want you pursuing somebody else, then they shouldn't have let you go. So it's kind of like the price that you have to pay if you're going to break up with somebody.
Once it's over, and sometimes it's the rebound relationships that work out.
Interesting. So are they technically a rebound? Is that a rebound anymore? I don't think
I
so.
have a question now.
Is
When
it?
No, because seriously, if you keep pining over that person, they've moved on. Why are you going to keep waiting for them? If you're once you're over them, it's time to go. Find somebody else if that's what you want to do. Or, but I don't think you should wait a certain amount of time just because because I think people wait because they think that that person's going to come back eventually, right? But I have that one philosophy where once you break up, that's it. There's no, oh, we break up and then we'll get back together and then we'll break up and then we'll get back together. Once you're
like
broken up, it's over.
yeah,
Move
you're
on.
talking on like maybe like others who like they'll say that they moved on and they'll kind of like pursue other relationships, but kind of like deep down there's sort of like still that expectation, right? That oh she's gonna come back, he's gonna come back, like kind of like mindset, right?
See, but that's a wrong mentality to have.
Mhm.
Because if they're
Yeah.
in another relationship, no, if they're
No
already
chill,
in
Arnie.
another
No
That
chill at all.
happens though. That
what
happens.
makes
Yeah.
you think they're going to come back? Maybe if you're both single still and he hasn't found anybody, maybe. But if they're already in a relationship with somebody else, they've moved on. What makes you think they're going to come back? Even if they were dating somebody that eventually they didn't like and they'll break up with, why would you want somebody back who dumped you? Like you weren't good enough for them then, but now you're good enough for them now? I don't think so. I say once it's done, it's done.
Okay, here's my question based off of what you just said, Arnie, because I feel like where do you think people's minds are at in the aftermath of a breakup, which makes it difficult for them to move on? Is it the fact that they're just still pining after the person? Is it a self thing where they feel like they're not enough? Like what is it that makes it hard for people to move on, do you think?
I think it's that. I think it's that they think like they're not good enough. And so if they couldn't keep this person, maybe they can't find anybody else. But the thing is, if you didn't do anything wrong, right? And you didn't do anything wrong and you did everything in the relationship like you were supposed to, then don't beat yourself up over it, And I think that's the hard part because I think people, when they think it's their fault, even though they say, oh, it's not you, it's me. Yeah, that's a load of baloney.
See, Chris Martin
Well,
brings up, a good counterpoint. Like, how invested in the relationship were you? So, like, maybe you don't immediately start looking, the immediate hour after you break up, because you still got to kind of gather yourself, especially if it was a committed relationship that was, several months or years. Sometimes even when you get married, you're gonna have big fights, but you can resolve those. You can definitely resolve those. So I would say it really does depend on the circumstances of the breakup. Let's say, something happened and you just were in the heat of the moment and you happen to break up, right? Maybe you could wait a little bit for that. But in reality, like there also has to be consequences if you put that on somebody. If you decide to break up with somebody, you have to be willing to accept the fact that this person can literally move on whenever they want to, as soon as they want to.
Okay, you know what?
Mm.
Rome had put something in the chat that I totally agree with. He says, if they're coming back to you, you're just the backup plan. See, things didn't work out, so now they're coming back to you. See that? I totally agree with that. Because if you were originally the one, they never would have broken up with you. And the only reason they're coming back is because things didn't work out with their other person. See, so it's like, no,
I
totally
kind of
agree
have
with
to
Rome.
disagree with that, Arnie, because I feel like sometimes it's just like it's kind of just like you're both sort of like, or either one of you or you're both kind of like in the wrong like mindset for a relationship. Like what people say, like you're both not ready for like a relationship yet, but you kind of it's like, you know what, like it'll work. Like it'll work. Like there was, even before it started, like you kind of already have a feeling that it might not work out, but you're sort of like forcing it, like it's gonna work, you know, and then it doesn't, because maybe at the time we both weren't ready for it, you know.
But if you're not ready to be in a relationship, then you shouldn't be in one. You
But
know what I'm
people still
saying?
do. Yeah,
I know,
that's
but
what I'm
that's the
saying.
thing.
People still do.
Then
That's
you
why
shouldn't be
I
in
feel like
one if you're
it
not ready.
yeah, that's why I feel like sometimes it happens where like they kind of break up and then they kind of get back together again, you know, because maybe at the time before like having time to grow like by themselves, you know, like sometimes that's what people need, you know.
See, Nico says, yeah, don't be the safety net. See, totally agree with Nico there too. And Renz says, you're the airbag. Okay, yeah, no.
I feel like in terms of being the safety net, it's kind of like you're biding your time waiting. I bet there's a difference between, you know, to speak to what AJ's point was in terms of these people, like they've broken up, they grow apart, and then if opportunity presents itself, you know, might meet back together again. I've seen some situations like that, but then there's also the other hand of it, like, yeah, don't wait around like you're waiting for things to change in that moment, because you're not going to heal from the things that happen, and it's going to be harder for you to kind of get perspective too, I think, if you're still so close to the
Close to it,
situation
yeah.
and everything that happened.
You're like
Yeah, and
replaying it in your mind. Yeah.
you make a good point too about how like sometimes you could break up and come back together, and there's definitely stories of people who've done that and they've lived happily ever after. They've lived long lives together. So when it comes to relationships, I'm very careful about giving like black and white rules, other than, you know, some
Yes.
very, you know, concrete things when it comes to relationships. Like for me, like make sure that your relationship is actually working towards a long-term goal. Otherwise, what's the point of the relationship? That's one of the rules that I would always give someone. You know, and then, you know, there's some other boundaries that you should have in how you conduct yourself, of course, in a relationship. But other than that, like I wouldn't say there's really black and white rules on what works and what doesn't, because there's so many examples of people that have gone through almost every situation you can think of and been able to be in a successful relationship. So I'm just saying,
It's always
anyone in the chat, I'm not
choices.
judging your particular situation. I know
Yeah.
I've heard almost everything. So
It's choices. It's really what it is, right, Nate? It's a matter of choices and kind of assessing where you're at, your own intentions of what
Mhm.
you're doing, how you're going about things. Because on the outside, people might be able to see, or they might think like, oh, like that person's waiting, like that's why they don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend yet, you know? Like people will always make comments after something. I think I saw something in the chat earlier about how people will look on social media to see the updates on people after they've broken up, and people like to see what happens. You know, people are attracted to that drama, but you know, it whatever it takes for you to kind of get through the thing, in of course in a Christian way, like cope in the right way, right? Don't
Mhm.
cope in the ways that are going to be detrimental to you, where you're going to completely destroy yourself as who you are and your core principles. I mean, what stuff have you guys seen that has worked in terms of how people have coped with breaking up, where you kind of saw them really get out of it well, aside from finding another person?
That's,
Renz,
I don't. It's
Renz
hard to
says he
say.
eats.
Oh, oh, yeah.
He eats stir fry. I eat ice cream.
I'd say, Tony. It's always.
Gotta
I
think
feel like
about that one.
Gotta think about it. I feel like it's always kind of like messy in the beginning, right? Like, and I'm speaking from my own experience as well. It's like being broken up with. It's like it's always like I would say the first few months is always kind of like messy because it's like I'm always like stumbling for the first few months trying to figure out what next, and then you kind of just like have for me I always have like end up having this kind of like moment of peace where I'm like, I think like I'm just gonna try to take it like one step at a time, like one day at a time. uh Maybe figure out like what's something that I wanted to do that I didn't do like when I was in a relationship. Maybe like here's like one thing that I didn't do. I didn't I stopped drawing for like a long time because I was just like I was busy. It was like first relationship, really busy with like like kind of like 24/7. They're kind of like on your mind 24/7, and you know you're you kind of let go of like your other hobbies and stuff. And then when the breakup happens, you're like, what did I do before? Like before I got into a relationship, what did I do? Like I drew a lot, like 24/7. I would like always be drawing, so I kind of rediscovered that, for me. Maybe trying out a different hobby, like I've tried to learn how to play an instrument, still don't know how to, but like and that might be something I'll like pick up again. But it's always messy in the first few, like uh the first few weeks, months, days, depends on the person how fast like you can really move on. But you kind of just like take it like a step at a time, right? Like one day at a time, figuring out your next move. It's not a race. Nobody's rushing you to make a decision right there and then.
I think you also have to allow yourself to be sad, right?
Yeah.
Life's
Yeah.
not always supposed to be ups all the time. So yeah, it's a bad situation. So be sad. Like you just have to get through it, and you can just know that so many of other people have been able to get through it and move on. So just tell yourself, why can't that be me also? I can also do that.
Mm.
What would you say from your experience, Nate, is the difference between letting yourself be sad and then like being too consumed by it to the point where you never move on?
Yeah, I've definitely known some friends who got consumed by it, and it was like years, and it's like I'd come back years later when I would visit them, and it would still be like on their mind. And at that point, you have to realize you're allowing somebody else to destroy you. You're allowing somebody else to control you, and that's a dangerous situation, not just for relationships, to let somebody else be in control of your happiness, in control of your emotions, right? In control of your well-being. Like that's a very dangerous place to be, especially for somebody who decided they're not going to be committed to you anymore. So if you can think about that rationally, then you have to accept it, number one, and then start making the steps to move on.
Arnie, any thoughts?
Yes.
Yes.
That we would like to share.
No, I mean, like Nate said, it is okay to be sad, but for me, I think the more you dwell on it, the harder it's going to be for you to get over it, or it's just going to make you even sadder. So I always like to think of, yes, this is something that's not good that happened, but think of all the good things you have in life, right? Like Kat said, go on vacation. Hey, I could go on vacation. I don't got to worry about, having to pay for anybody else, right? But do things that's going to make you happy, but don't do things that's just going to keep you sad or depressed, right? And if you find these things that make you happy, whether it's working out or eating or going places, then you do that. And I think that's what's going to help you get over it faster.
I just want to read something real quick that Kat put in the chat. I don't think you can put a prescribed time on grieving. So that kind of ties into what I'll speak to in terms of self-awareness. I feel like in any time that you get into something that can bring up a lot of emotions, a lot of um, things that could get you to think is really just being self-aware. Like you don't have to address everything right away, but just be aware of how sad are you feeling? What kind of thoughts are you having? Like to speak to what Nate was saying earlier, don't get into this mindset of, oh, I'll never be able to find anybody, or and you start to kind of get into this negative thinking. Um, Self-awareness, know the stuff, like speaking to what EJ said, what makes you happy, like finding joys in little things, but then still allowing yourself that space to kind of have that space for sadness, so you're not just randomly lashing out because you're keeping everything so close to heart. Like breakups are hard. I've seen people go through some really serious things, so tread with caution, my friends who are tuning in with us, whether you're tuning in live or watching the replay. Hopefully, this broadcast has been helpful to you in the different ways that we can cope, but hopefully, you're able to cope with it in a way that not only will help heal you, but prepare you for the next relationship. Or if you decide not to, that's okay too. So thanks, Nate. Thanks, Arnie. Thanks, EJ, and everyone there in the live chat who's joined us for our discussion this evening or day, whatever time you're watching. We'll tune in again next week, same time for Chatline. Thanks for tuning in with us, where we are finding connection through conversation.
This is what I ask. Let me always dwell in the temple of the Lord till I breathe my last. This is what I ask. Let me always dwell in the temple of the Lord till I breathe my last.
Gusto mo bang maging updated sa mga bago? Balita man yan o serbisyo publiko, mayroon ding nakaka-inspire na mga kwento. Ano pang hinihintay mo? Hit subscribe na sa YouTube channel ng INCRadio para hindi ka lang updated, kundi kasama ka pa sa makabuluhang mga kwentuhan at tawanan. Dito lang sa INCRadio.
How important is family time?
Nandito na po ako.
Diyan ka na pala. O, kain na tayo.
In today's busy world, prioritizing family time